All right, gentlemen, I've got a curious question, and I want a short, one-sentence answer. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right, here we go. Will we get another full trailer for No Way Home?
No.
Nate?
No.
No?
This is the last one.
Sam?
No, I don't think you can give much more away without it being too much of a spoiler.
Well, then that messes up my next question, because I was going to ask, if we do, let's hypothetically,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
if we do, will we see Toby and Andrew in it?
No, with how much they took to not do it in this one, never.
Okay. Yeah, no.
All right, enough about the trailer that we haven't gotten. Let's talk a little bit about the one we have. That's next. This is Tatooine Sons.
It's true. All of it.
What is the name of the porg on the Millennium Falcon?
Force is strong in my family.
What do you think his name is? It's a big moment.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
Maybe Turbis?
Do or do not. There is no try.
Turbis? Pablo, if you're listening to this live stream, that porg's name is now Turbis. It's a good Star Wars name.
We're not done yet.
These guys recorded an awesome podcast called Tatooine Sons. Everybody was
I get to fly a blimp tomorrow.
What?
Not a full, like, Goodyear blimp or anything.
Is the Super Bowl happening? No.
No, I for my college basketball game during halftime, I'm flying around this 16-foot-long red Raising Cane's blimp around just to kind of hype up the crowd. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
That'll be awesome. Welcome to Tatooine Sons, a pop culture podcast. We are the only fan podcast to name a canon Star Wars creature and to be endorsed by the amazing writer and director of Knives Out.
Amazing.
Yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah, he's writing and directing Knives Out too.
Super excited.
I'm excited about that. And he also did this thing called The Last Jedi, which is
a good movie.
Most people don't realize this. Still in the top 10 all-time highest grossing films.
Really?
In history. And it was a flop, according to some people. We believe that pop culture is the mythology of our generation. There's a story. It is written on our souls. And The Last Jedi is written on my soul a little bit. And these myths speak to that story. And that is why we are talking about Ghostbusters, Afterlife, and the latest Spider-Man trailer, and a change of perspective on Thrawn.
What?
I am David. I'm the dad.
Hi, Dad.
What's up, gentlemen? I am honored to be joined every week by my two amazing sons. BB Nate, what are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about the No Way Home trailer. I'm not sure if there's a way we could go throughout this podcast not talking about it. And the multiverse is finally breaking.
It's fracturing all around us. Samuel, what are you talking about?
I think you guys are dying to hear what I'm talking about.
Jeez.
I haven't had a pun in a while.
I don't even have to bring the dad jokes. I've passed them on.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, seriously, the new Thrawn novel. I know we're not into the novels as much.
I'm so behind on Thrawn.
The new Thrawn novel is going to melt your face off when it comes to the canon version of Thrawn and what's happening.
Okay.
With that. And you should stick around to the last segment. If that was maybe I oversold that just a little bit, but you'll have to wait to the end of the show to get to the final segment, because Star Wars is at the end this week again. This episode is sponsored by cufflinks.com. They have over 3,000 items on their website, from Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, NFL, NCAA, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and everything else that you can think of. We are very honored to be sponsored by cufflinks.com. Thank you guys so much. Please make sure you follow the show on whatever podcast app you're listening to. When you look at the page on your phone, it'll say follow or subscribe. Press that button right now so you don't miss anything else. Friday, this is an interesting conversation.
Okay.
We're talking like high level worldview type stuff and using the Eternals to do it. Lucas Pinkard from Reverend and the Reprobate's going to come on. It is a fun conversation. Very excited about that. But enough about stuff that's happening on Friday. What about stuff that happened last week? Go, BB Nate.
We got a new trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home, and while it didn't give some people what they wanted, it definitely gave us a lot to talk about, so let's dive in.
Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah, I can fly.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
The people in this room, which one is A, wearing a spangly outfit, and B, not of use?
There's only one God, man. And I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
That man has no limits.
I keep seeing all these like TV spots showing up on my YouTube.
You've actually gotten a little bit more from
I've gotten a lot
of Electro and stuff.
And Doc Ock as well.
Doc Ock, yeah.
Some Doc Ock stuff too. So first reactions to the trailer, 1 to 10 Invisible Spider-Man.
Oof. Yeah, I got to give it an 8 or 9. It was really exciting. It kind of, I mean, we knew a lot of what was going to be happening in there, but like actually seeing some of the characters show up, just it was great. It was a great trailer. Definitely hyped me up.
So you gave it what'd you give it?
8 or 9.
8 or 9? 8.5. I'll give it a solid 8.
All right.
I would have given it a 9 or 10 had we seen Toby and Andrew in it. But yeah, it was good. It got me hyped. But there wasn't really anything in there that kind of made me go, oh, I didn't expect this to happen in the movie. So
yeah. Well, I'm
still fun.
I'm gonna get an 8. An 8's an accurate assessment. I think we all can agree on that. But let's talk about 5 big moments. It was hard actually narrowing down, so I kind of took from everything and just took points.
Well, that's
from
because this thing's got like
everything.
It's like it's the fastest moving trailer I've ever seen.
Yeah,
that's true.
It cuts between stuff super fast. There's a lot that happens.
So let's first talk about Doc Ock and his quote, "You're not Peter Parker."
No, seriously, what's your real name?
Yeah, well, that one was good too. But you're not Peter Parker. So this confirms that the Tobey Spider-Man stuff and everything. But do you think we'll get anything more of Tobey in this movie besides just?
So why does that confirm the Tobey Spider-Man stuff? Because he doesn't recognize
exactly. It is not his Peter Parker.
It implies that he's from another universe with a different looking Spider-Man.
Okay.
So, do you think we get any more of Tobey? This is kind of if we're even seeing him in the movie as well. Do you think we get any more of him than just this passing line?
I hope. My heart hopes so. I don't know. That's the question on everybody's mind with this movie is, are the other Spider-Man going to show up? That's just what's been on everybody's mind from the beginning, really. I'm going to wager and say yes.
Okay.
I think we do get some more Tobey. Also, I did not realize that his name was spelled like that. Tobey. That's a weird way to spell Tobey. But
not for him, it's not.
It's probably normal.
Yes, I do think we get some more Tobey in there. Yeah.
Dad.
Absolutely going to get Tobey and Andrew. There's no doubt in my mind. I think that Andrew is playing coy. I don't think he wants to talk about this movie. I think he wants to talk about Tick, Tick, Boom.
Which actually I've seen some clips and it looks like a decent movie.
Do you know he'd never sung publicly before
I know.
this?
It's surprising.
So anyway, very excited to see them in this. I think he's just playing coy with everybody. It's happening. If it doesn't, they're shooting it right now, and they're going to fix it in the next 2 weeks.
I was telling Savannah that. So we were actually waiting for Ghostbusters to play, and the trailer came on. And I'm like, honestly, even if they weren't planning on having the Spider-Man in there, Superman.
Wow,
they probably are like shooting it. And if they even throw it in like an end credit scene, that'll make the fans happy. They've just got to have something at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And now let's move on to the Green Goblins. Maybe. Well, we hear Willem Dafoe and his amazing laugh as Green Goblin, and we actually see him, and he looks no different, which is not a problem. But we also see another look from Green Goblin.
Somebody described him as the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers version of Green Goblin.
What, the William Dafoe version? Yeah.
Do you think that this other Green Goblin could be Harry Osborn from the Raimiverse, or could it be someone else, or could it just be a new suit for Willem Dafoe?
What if it's the Harry from the Sony Amazing Spider-Man?
It could be, but I don't know. That was a very, very controversial point of that movie.
Well, I think it would be it was controversial because it was lame.
It was pretty lame.
We watched it just a couple nights ago, and that was probably the lamest part of the whole movie.
He was just thrown in there for no reason.
Yeah, it didn't make sense. I remember seeing that originally, thinking that.
Me too.
With it. I I would love to see James Franco's Harry show up and interact with Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. So you got Green Goblin and you got Hobgoblin interacting together, and that reunion moment, which would be pretty epic.
That would be really awesome.
Yeah, I think it's Harry from the Raimiverse, because if you look at whatever he's throwing or shooting out there, it's exactly what you see in Spider-Man 3.
Spinny blade thingies.
The Harry from Amazing Spider-Man 2 didn't use anything like that. So I think if anyone, it's definitely Harry from the Raimiverse, which would be really cool to see him interact with Tom Holland, but also especially William Dafoe. I think that would be or Willem Dafoe, whatever.
It's a very strange name too.
There's just all sorts of weird names. You got Sam Raimi. Toby with an E. Anyway.
How does Toby in The Office spell it?
Toby in The Office? T-O-B-Y?
Yeah.
Okay,
normal.
So it's not
normal. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, I would like to see Harry and Hobgoblin and Goblin interact. That you're right. That would be interesting.
It would be really awesome. Now let's move on to probably the most talked about point in this trailer: Electro, Sandman, and Lizard. We do see a new looking Electro with his classic kind of. He has the comic-esque mask, but it's formed by electricity whenever he uses it, which is really awesome. Then we see this amazing shot of all the villains going up against one Spider-Man, or are they? In an international version of the trailer, this shot lasts for just a bit longer, and we see Lizard get kicked by the air. Do y'all think they edited it out?
Luke Skywalker.
Exactly. It's a
like
force.
in Boba Fett.
Do y'all think they edited out the other Spider-Man in this shot, or is this just a simple CGI mistake?
It's definitely not a CGI mistake, because that is a clear movement on the Lizard. Like, there is movement and force behind his head moving like that. So there was definitely something that hit him. I don't know if Peter's learned how to use the Force now or something. But I think they definitely edited something out. Movies have been known to do that, to change things from the trailers. I think even Far From Home? He was wearing a different suit than what he saw.
Marvel
in the
does
trailer.
the fake outs all the time.
Yeah,
they did it with
trailers.
Eternals too.
They hide characters. They move things around. This is becoming a kind of a standing gag within these trailers, and so everyone was looking for something with this. It was pretty easy to find because of the Brazilian version of this. but it made sense. Yeah, it's definitely he's getting hit by something. But I want to talk about Electro. What in the world?
Why is he yellow?
He definitely. He's also looked like a normal dude.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but when he was getting sucked into power or something, I don't know. In Amazing Spider-Man 2, like you mentioned, Sammy, he did start to turn yellow, so I'm sure they're going to be able to figure out ways to explain it.
Yeah, but looking at this one, it looks like he's not getting his powers from himself. It looks like the powers are from his, whatever he's wearing, and I think even in a TV spot, he's got an arc reactor somewhere on it.
It looks like Tech Stark.
Yeah.
Or Stark Tech.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
Whatever.
I've heard it both ways.
Yeah.
Do you think they're just having Jamie Foxx, same character, but he never got...
Same actor, you mean?
Same actor, same character even, but in Tom Holland's universe.
I think that's got to be it.
He created a suit.
I honestly think that has to be it. He's not goofy. He's not awkward. He's not weird.
Blue.
He looks like Jamie Foxx, not like the weird character from Amazing Spider-Man with it. And I think that he's got Stark Tech. And so I think there's something going on in this universe that character in this universe is now becoming Electro.
Do you think the same thing happens with Sandman? Because Sandman didn't die.
Well, neither did Lizard.
This is true. So I'm just wondering, because Doctor Strange's little quote of, they all die by the hands of Spider-Man. And so that's a little confusing, but it did sound like they edited in a little quote, so they might just be trying to misdirect people.
Yeah, they've been known to splice quotes a lot of times, too. That's a good point.
And in this movie, we have Doctor Strange v. Spider-Man, Dawn of the Multiverse.
Dawn of Justice.
We see another good guy versus good guy conflict in this movie, and this one is very difficult for me to pick a side on. So who are y'all siding with?
No, I'm going to make you side first.
I don't know. I think
because you love these two characters.
I do. I really do think that Doctor Strange has the best point, though. Like, because, I mean, honestly, if you think about it, they came over to this universe. They're going to destroy this universe if they stay here. And either you kill them here or lock them up and they'll just get out again because they're supervillains, or you send them back to their universe where they're already dead and have been for an undisclosed amount of time. It kind of just makes sense.
I'm with Peter. I think they deserve a second chance, and this is their second chance. Granted, they may cause some trouble, but I mean, that's what Batman does. He doesn't kill them just because they may break out again. He gives them a chance again, and I think that's what Peter's trying to do. So I'm with Peter on this one.
It's definitely difficult because you've got Peter and his like personal moral quandary that he's in, and then you've got the fracturing of the entire,
you have Doctor Strange and his literal job is to keep the universe together.
I'm going to side with whoever it is that ends up saving MJ when she's falling. So. I don't care.
It's just Doctor Strange's case.
I don't care if that's pick a child's side.
Maybe that's Peter Porker for all I care.
Hey,
honestly, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'd be cool with that too.
Maybe it's Miles.
That'd be awesome.
That would be cool.
Wouldn't that be cool if he shows up and just saves?
And he's the invisible punch. That's what it was.
That's true. He can go invisible.
He can. So that's all it was. And speaking of the multiverse cracking, at the end of the trailer, we see the multiverse, at least we assume it is the multiverse, breaking open, and Doctor Strange says that he can't stop them. Now, give me y'all's wildest theories about this scene and what we might see.
I think this is where the Spider-Man come through. I think that this happens before the bad guys jump towards Peter. I think that, throughout the course of the movie, the multiverse has been fracturing and more bad guys have been pouring in. And then right there at the climax, it's completely broken open. And then the Spider-Man are going to come through somehow and they're going to have to fight the bad guys and stuff.
So here's what happens. All right, this is what's going to happen in the movie. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead.
All right. Well, I said crazy stuff.
No, this is my prediction. Sure to go right. All right. Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, is doing everything in his power to send Doc Ock and Green Goblin and the other Goblin and everybody back to their timelines. Okay, right, and that's what's happening here, and it goes out of control. And in the moment that he's sending them, that's that box that they keep fighting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. In the moment that he tries to send them back, and he opens up the portals into these different dimensions, everything gets crazy. It may even be connected to Loki and that moment there, and all of this stuff goes crazy, and that's when the other guys come through, because those portals got opened up as Tom Holland's Peter Parker is trying to send them back in, and so everything gets crazy, and so that's just go ahead and
that's what it is.
On it.
That's it.
That's
all right,
what's going to happen.
That's what you're
moving on. No more further discussion.
Do you think, as a post-credits scene or otherwise, even in this scene, do you think we see Madam Web make an appearance?
I don't, because I think that they're trying to go down some weird paths with some of the other stuff. And I don't think they're going to bring in Madam Web.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you bring in Madam Web in this. That just starts making things a little bit too complicated when they're trying to introduce the multiverse. You can't start throwing in a character like that.
I think that would actually make it easier for people to understand. One person at the center holding everything together might make it easier. And also, with this being the culmination of this Spider-Man trilogy, it would make sense to introduce a new character that's bridging all the Spider-Men. So it kind of would make sense. But Spider-Man No Way Home comes out on December 17th, and tickets go on sale November 29th. And I think we can speak for everybody here in saying that we're absolutely pumped for this movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Good job, BB Nate.
Thank you.
Good segment.
Yes, good job.
All right. Here we go. Inside the Magic is going for the Triple Crown this week. And apparently any failure by Luke Skywalker is a horrible slap in the face of Star Wars fans. And we got this covered. Actually has the audacity to call out a YouTuber for fake news.
Wow.
You just can't make this stuff up. That's up next on Bad News.
This is not going to go the way you think.
All right, gentlemen, I didn't get to see you dressed up for church yesterday because I was in Baltimore.
Yeah, that would make it kind of difficult.
I mean, you could have FaceTimed me or something, but you guys don't have iPhones, so you can't do that. Anyway, what did you guys wear to church? Did you guys wear any cufflinks.com stuff yesterday?
I wore a BB-8 tie bar.
BB-8 tie bar?
That's it?
Pretty nice.
Did you wear socks?
I think I wore BB-8 socks.
So you're like on the BB-8 kick still. That was 2 weeks in a row, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wore a different tie, though. But it was still Star Wars. So.
That is true. And it's cufflinks.com.
No.
No, it's cufflinks.com.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, both of those were.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. I'm confused. What about you?
I wore a new tie this week that I hadn't
What'd you
worn.
wear?
It's red with the Mando helmet and the Mando Mythosaur skull.
I think that's part of the new line that just came out this fall.
A lot of people noticed it and liked it, so I got to go into my little sales pitch in Sunday school. I even talked about how the tie bar glows in the dark, and they're like, "Wait, we got to see it." So we turned off the lights and stuff and everything. But yeah, they really liked that tie. I like it too. It's nice.
I went to one of those churches where the pastor wears jeans and a t-shirt. So I didn't wear any cufflink stockings.
Yeah, that you'd be a little overdressed.
It was a little different with it. But, that's what's cool. I mean, I could have probably worn some socks or something if I would have planned accordingly. I need to do that. But the coolest thing is I can find all that stuff on cufflinks.com and, we can wear our fandom out
on
there
our
for
sleeve.
the world. On our sleeve, literally.
Yeah, because cufflinks.
That was good. That was good. They have a lot of different stuff on their website.
They do. They actually have over 3,000 items on the website, and not just covering cufflinks or anything like that, but they also have ties and tie bars and socks like what I wore and money clips and a bunch of other things regarding all fandoms.
So we should normalize carrying cash again, just so we can have money clips.
Yes,
I agree. Yeah, and it's getting even closer. It's time to start that Christmas shopping. I know music's starting everywhere. You're hearing it everywhere in the grocery stores and stuff. You can't stop it now, which means it's probably time to start thinking about what you're going to get. So use the code Tatooine15 at the checkout. For all your Star Wars or nerdy fans, you want to get them something nice, use code Tatooine15 to get 15% off everything on the site with no minimum order required.
That's right. So make sure you check out cufflinks.com. Use that code Tatooine15. There's still time. You can order and get it in on time for Christmas. So do it. Tatooine15 at checkout.
Well, you want the bad news or the really bad news?
All right. New Star Wars book to continue to desecrate Luke Skywalker's character.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. That's some strong words there.
It's a headline for sure. We're finally getting the full story of Luke Skywalker and Lando Calrissian's pursuit of Ochi of Bastoon. That was briefly mentioned in The Rise of Skywalker, and that's the good news. The bad news is that apparently the fact that Luke and Lando never stopped Ochi is a horrible desecration of the apparently previously infallible Luke Skywalker. In this article by Bounding into Comics,
it's a new website.
They make the leap that I just described by concluding that Luke's failure in his mission to find Ochi resulted in the death of Rey's parents, which means that their death is Luke's fault.
What?
So let's apply this same logic to, I don't know, like Obi-Wan Kenobi here. Since he failed to kill Darth Vader at the end of Revenge of the Sith, and then Darth Vader terrorized millions across the galaxy for 20 years, then the terror of Darth Vader is obviously Kenobi's fault, right?
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think there's no other way to look about that.
Yeah, wrong. Clickbait level 8. All right.
New Captain Marvel actress speaks out after the MCU replaced Brie Larson. This is the headline that just keeps on giving. First, it was Scarlett Johansson being replaced in the MCU. Then it was Tom Holland. Today, it's Brie Larson. None have been replaced in films, as this headline implies. Again, just another article about the what if actor. Obviously, this headline works, or they wouldn't be using it over and over again. That's why it gets clickbait level 10.
Yikes. Yeah, I'm kind of over those.
I know. It's like every time I turn around, another one is there.
Exactly. So. Fan favorite Sith Lord rumored to show up in The Mandalorian. Pretty interesting, right? Yeah. Sounds good for me. Well, the story the headline is referencing would actually be pretty cool. The best part of this article comes when it's sourced. We got this covered as reporting that Asajj Ventress, who was never a Sith Lord, the whole rule of 2 thing, could be appearing in a future season of The Mandalorian. But it gets absolutely hilarious when they mention the source of the rumor by saying we should preface this with the caveat. Alrighty, that works. That the information comes from the notoriously unreliable Doomcock.
Oh.
Seriously, does We Got This Covered have any right to call out anyone for being unreliable?
That is the pot calling the kettle black.
Without a doubt, We Got This Covered is notorious. Like it is a running punchline in social media about how absolutely they just make up everything.
Oh, they do. Yeah.
And then they're calling out Doomcock.
So this is a clickbait level 7 with an honorable mention for being hilarious.
That's it. All right. Sam? You're up next, bro.
Is that me?
Yep, it is you.
Well,
all
Ghostbusters Afterlife released this past weekend, and as the movie lovers we are, we went opening night to see it. We're going to give our review and discuss some of the interesting aspects of the film. That's all up next.
Be on your guard. There are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world.
All right, then, keep your secrets.
Your coming to us is as the footsteps of doom.
There are many magic rings in this world, Bilbo Baggins, and none of them should be used lightly.
She liked it. She thought it was a lot of fun. She enjoyed it. She hadn't seen the first Ghostbusters in a while, but she was still able to follow along. She thought it was fun. Yeah.
Good. All right. That's awesome.
All right.
That's it.
That's all your questions?
I just was curious. Yeah.
Okay, let's get y'all, before we go any further, rating on a scale of 1 to 10, mini Stay Puft Marshmallow Men. Nathan.
7.5.
Okay.
I'd give it at that. I don't want to give it an 8, but I really did enjoy this movie. It was a lot of fun. It was a Ghostbusters movie, and it was really good. And I would be interested in seeing where they could go from here.
Dad?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7.
Okay.
Lots of fun.
Yeah.
Felt like Ghostbusters. Good story.
Yeah.
Fun CGI and effects. Great acting. I think that a part of the experience was diminished for me because the screen in our theater was really dark. Will you agree with me on that?
Yeah.
It was kind of dark. Yeah, it was tough to see some of the cavern scenes.
And so it made it hard to watch for me. But other than that, it was a great movie.
Yeah. I would give it a 7.5 as well. I think. I mean, you're not getting it's no Dune. Let's just be honest, Dune. I mean, but you're not going there for that. You're going for a fun Ghostbusters movie, and it delivers exactly what you're going for, and you really can't ask for much more. But okay, one thing that's been very popular within Hollywood lately is reviving old franchises. You know, bringing back the dead, all that stuff. Star Wars, Star Trek, Creed, Cobra Kai, and now even Ghostbusters. Movies like Ghostbusters Afterlife, and the like have been dubbed legacyquels. It's hard to say.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's good.
By some. Now, these movies can be a tricky thing to pull off. You can't fully rely on nostalgia. You need a new and interesting story with new characters, but you also have to satisfy the fans at the same time. But these movies can inadvertently undermine the impact of the originals, making it seem like the heroes of the original didn't do their job correctly and leaving it to the newer generation to clean up the mess. What are y'all's thoughts on this trend in Hollywood, and how do you feel Afterlife, or do you feel that Afterlife struck a good balance or not? Nate, I want you to go first.
I'm not opposed to this in Hollywood at all, because they did it with Star Wars in a way. They revived it. They're doing it with this. They did it with Star Trek and everything. It allows a newer generation to get interested in a movie that came out in the 80s that a lot of parents love, but I mean, a lot of kids might not get into it, but they'll enjoy this movie, and so they can get into the other Ghostbusters movies. Mm-hmm. They tried to do it with 2016 Ghostbusters, but it didn't really work out. So,
did it have the original Ghostbusters show up?
No.
Well, there's probably part of the reason.
Exactly. Did they do a good job with it in this one and undermine the original? Not at all. I think that they explained a lot of things very well, with Spangler always trying to stop Gozer from coming back. And that was his whole goal, and he had to abandon everybody for it. And because it felt like every one of them knew what they did was a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. And so I really enjoyed how they tied it in. And it kind of felt like this was a culmination of the trilogy for Ghostbusters, yet it opened up a lot of space for something new, especially since they have a whole Ghostbusters production company now. So they're obviously planning on doing something.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you brought up some different movies in here, and all of them are great examples of either how to do this right or how to do it wrong. Okay, so the 2016 Ghostbusters, it didn't do it right because it didn't honor the source material. It tried to reboot it, and it did it in a kind of a way that actually rejected what people loved about the original story, from what I understand. I haven't even seen it yet, but it was almost like they were a mockery in a lot of ways of the original versus an honoring of it.
Okay.
And I think that's why a lot of people didn't like that one. Star Trek wasn't necessarily a legacyquel.
Well,
it was more of a reboot.
You got Picard and stuff now coming out too, and things.
Oh, that's
like
true.
that.
Yeah, with Picard, that's true. Okay, yeah. So you're right on that.
Star Trek wasn't a reboot; it connected to the main story.
It was a different parallel universe.
It was a parallel universe,
which happens in Star Wars, so that's fine. But it's still, even though it was a reboot, the one thing that you had to be really careful of in rebooting Star Trek that they haven't had to do in Star Wars is you've got a new James T. Kirk. You've got a new Spock. You've got a new Uhura. You've got a new Bones. And those characters are so iconic that if you get any of them wrong, you ruin the whole story.
But what helps is they brought in the original Spock.
Yes.
Well, no, but still, Zachary Quinto did a fantastic job being Spock. Chris Pine did a fantastic James Kirk.
Yeah.
With it. All of them did a great job with it. So it worked with that one versus what they did with Ghostbusters 2016.
Exactly.
Okay. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, and this one, and Ghostbusters Afterlife, they are very similar.
Yes.
They are
with
very
it.
similar.
You've got an extended period of time between the stories and this happening. You've got a way of referencing the old stories constantly without having to retell the old stories with it. And
allowing it for people that haven't seen the rest of Star Wars even could enjoy Force Awakens because they still get the story.
The Force Awakens is a great entry point to Star Wars if you're part of a new generation,
Absolutely.
even if you haven't seen it. And Ghostbusters Afterlife did the same thing.
Exactly.
You know enough about the story that you would go back now and you would watch the original Ghostbusters after seeing that, and it would be a great experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they did right with this one.
Yeah, I agree. I think it struck a good balance between nostalgia and actual good storytelling. You know, it didn't rely on the fact that the Ghostbusters were going to be showing up again, the originals, to make it a good movie. It was a good movie long before they showed up. And yeah, I think it was honoring to the source material as well. So the main MacGuffin of this film, though, is Egon Spengler's death, forcing Callie to take over his estate in the middle of nowhere. Egon is then seen, or not seen, to be a driving force for both Callie and Phoebe throughout the film, guiding them with where to go until his appearance at the end to help Phoebe and the original Ghostbusters save the day until he, dissolves into stars and floats away. Now, I've read some articles, and some believe that this treatment of the character is not honoring of the late Harold Ramis by making him a bit of a deadbeat dad of sorts. Also, note, I'm not as plugged into Ghostbusters as anything. In fact, I think I just watched the first movie this year pretty recently. I did not realize that Harold had passed away.
The actor.
Yeah. I had no idea that wasn't him in the movie. They did so
the CGI
good
was great.
with the CGI. I mean, him not talking was a little weird, but I would have never thought that. I really thought that was him. They did a fantastic job with the CG. But anyway, in your guys' opinions, do you feel that the treatment of his character in this film was well executed, and was it honoring of him?
I think that it was designed to make you feel like he was a deadbeat dad, because you're watching this film from the point of view of his daughter and his grandkids. And his daughter and his grandkids are under the impression, the assumption, based on their experience, that he's a deadbeat dad, that he abandoned his family. You've got the original Ghostbusters functioning, especially Dan Aykroyd's character, and I can't remember what his last name is, but anyway, you've got him believing that he's crazy and he's out, abandoning everybody for this crazy idea with it. They also did a great job of when and I haven't seen it a second time. Sam, you're the only one that has, right?
Yes.
Okay, you almost went today, but that got pushed off. You're going Wednesday?
We're going to Venom 2 Wednesday.
Oh, I thought you guys were going to this.
No,
Mom told me you were going to Ghostbusters. Okay.
Hey, I'll see it again sometime, though.
All right. Well, I want to see it again because I think that it's going to hold up on a second viewing. You tell me, Sam. Do you get the feeling that Spengler's character is trying to actively be a part of fixing the problem the whole time, and not just some crazy guy. He's like a part of this, and there's an element there that carries forward into the story.
Yeah, absolutely. Watching it on a second time, it does make a difference watching him interact and help them do things. I mean, he didn't carry them in a way and do everything for them, but he helped be that little driving force that they needed every so often. Like, I forget the kid's name, but when Finn Wolfhard's character is trying to make the car and he just needs that little bit of wire twisted in there, he does that, right? He doesn't help fix the car for him. He just does that a little bit. Same with Phoebe and Callie and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And then at the end, he doesn't like carry it for Callie with the proton pack. He helps her, you know. So he wants to kind of show them that he's been wanting to help them this whole time, but he hasn't been able to, and he's not going to do their job for him.
Definitely. I loved how they handled his character. I think it was absolutely amazing. I thought we were supposed to think that he was a deadbeat dad, but all in all, he was just trying to, you know, save the world. But he's like, he either spend time with his family and then they would die and he could have stopped it or save his family. And so that's what he did. And he always followed his daughter and kept up with her life, but from the shadows. And yeah, I really do think that it was a great treatment.
Yeah, that's cool. Now with this new cast of characters, we could have ourselves the new generation of Ghostbusters. I think y'all mentioned that they might be continuing this here. Do you guys think that if a sequel is made, we'll see these characters return as the next team of Ghostbusters? And would you guys be open to seeing them return?
Of course, I'd be open to seeing them return. I think that the chemistry between all of them was good. They felt like a good Ghostbusters team. All of them kind of felt a lot like the original team. They all had the similar roles into
That's
it.
A good point.
I think it works. It allows a new generation to get connected to Ghostbusters, to these characters, and have Vincent was his name, correct? If I'm not mistaken, the guy who in the post-credit scene pulled in the car. I'm forgetting his name, but
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Winston.
Winston. Mm-hmm. I don't know why I thought of Vincent, but Winston, I let him be kind of the, I don't know, the secretary or the Nick Fury of these new Ghostbusters and mentor them, leading them and giving them calls for stuff. And I think it would work really well. And I am definitely open to a sequel.
Yeah, and they're young enough that they could carry this on for quite a while with it. So it would be fun to see them do that. It would be fun to see them do it not tied directly to the original story, which is another thing that you do in one of these legacyquels, right? Mm-hmm. So you connect and you honor to the past, but then you figure out a way to tell a new story. So is the next one directed by Rian Johnson, where he goes in a completely different direction than everybody thought, and it's an absolute masterpiece? Let's hope so.
Right. Now, I can safely say that without Nate, I definitely would have missed the not one but two end credit scenes in this movie. The first shows Venkman and Dana as they now live together. They're recreating the famous ESP experiment seen in the first movie, only Venkman's the one on the receiving end of the shocks. It's a fun moment, but it's not too consequential. But what were y'all's thoughts when y'all saw that?
I thought it was cool. It just tied to the original movie a little bit more. It gave some fans a nice little laugh, which is really what a lot of people were there for. Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is an end credit scene on par with Howard the Duck in the MCU. When he just shows up. There's no real purpose to it necessarily, but it's fun to see.
Yeah. And then the second one shows Janine and Winston reminiscing of how the Ghostbusters used to be and discussing Winston's business success. It ends, however, with, like you said, Nate, Winston pulling the Ecto-1 into the old fire station that the Ghostbusters used to be located in, while the camera pans to where they used to deposit the trapped ghosts, that now the panel has a blinking light, leaving us with a potential sequel. Do you guys think that they will create a sequel? And if so, what do y'all think that could be about? Just speculate.
I do think that they're going to create a sequel. One of the big signs of that is them making a whole new production company for Ghostbusters for this. So they're obviously wanting to take this somewhere. What the sequel could be about is really, it's hard to tell, because the first Ghostbusters movie and this one were tied so closely that it feels like there's really no other big threats out there. You can't really go anywhere else because that was the main ghost. That was the big bad, and now it's gone. So who knows where they could go? Maybe they could figure out some more stuff with weird paintings with souls and slime and stuff, because it worked for Ghostbusters too.
I would venture to guess that this end credit scene was added after
the Comic-Con thing.
When people saw this movie.
Saw it and it was received so well. I agree.
I think that they were like, wait a second, this thing is real. Like, people are going to really accept this movie. And they have. We joke on the show about it, talk about it all the time. You guys aren't on Twitter for us. I am. And people are loving this movie. I haven't heard a lot of negative at all about it. I think that they were like, we've got a franchise back in play here. Let's create this and keep it going. And it's not that hard because right now the stories are wide open. You don't know why that's blinking. If that's the MacGuffin, something's going on with ghosts. Let's figure it out from there.
Yeah.
It's a dad moment time.
Hey,
all right.
I am your father.
It's interesting. The entire franchise, of course, is built off of this assumption that the supernatural realm is real. I mean, we've got ghosts, we've got ministers.
Ministers? Yes, those are definitely evil.
I don't know.
I mean, it depends.
Monsters. Apparitions, all of that. But Ghostbusters Afterlife centers around a very specific truth that we all kind of really want to believe in. We want to believe that we live beyond our physical death. It's even more pronounced in this film because the character of Spengler isn't the only one who's died. The actor that's portrayed him has. And so you have the film characters reconnecting with Spengler, and then you have the cast and the audience in a lot of ways reconnecting with Harold Ramis. So it's interesting to me that we have this story written on our souls, like we talk about, and how that story makes us want to believe in an afterlife, want to believe that life exists beyond our mortal lives. The question that we have to ask ourselves is if that's really the story that's written on our souls, that there's something inside of us that knows that life exists beyond this mortal, 70, 80 years, as the Bible would kind of describe it, right? Then what does that mean about the way we live these 70, 80 years? It's something I think that we should take time to think about.
Yeah. Well, I personally really enjoyed this movie, and I think we all are in agreement with that too. It was a fun story with unique characters and some touching moments there, especially at the end. And we think that if you were a fan of the original Ghostbusters, you should give this movie a try.
Yeah, absolutely. We got some new movies coming out. We got a Thanksgiving Disney movie coming out here, and then Father, Son, and House of Gucci is coming out, and a movie that we probably shouldn't even talk about, but we're going to, and some trailers and some other stuff. So that's all coming up next on BB Nate on your movie moments.
Yes.
At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will have revenge.
New releases this week, we got Encanto. This looks really interesting, and it kind of took us all by surprise. The long line, Walt Disney Animation Studios, Encanto. I'm not even sure what to call it.
Encanto.
All right, I'll call it like that. I'm not, because there's tells the tale of an extraordinary family. The Madrigals. The Madrigals. It's like magical, but Madrigals. Alrighty. Who live hidden in the mountains of Colombia in a magical house in a vibrant town in a wondrous, charmed place called Encanto. This is gonna bug me so much.
We're not Colombian, okay?
The magic of the Encanto has blessed every child in the family with a unique gift, from super strength to the power to heal every child except one. Maribel, voiced by Stephanie Beatrice.
That's good enough.
Yep. But when she discovers that the magic surrounding the Encanto is in danger, Maribel decides that she, the only ordinary Madrigal, might just be her exceptional family's last hope.
Aww.
Interesting. So these names are going to give me a very difficult time. So the stars, Stephanie Beatriz, Maria Cecilia Botero.
Yeah, you got that one right.
And Wilmer Valderrama.
You got him. Yeah. It's actually, that's two R's together, so that's a Valderrama.
All right.
Seriously.
Yeah, studio is Walt Disney Animation Studios. The directors is Brian Howard, Jared Bush, and Charisse Castro Smith. is rated PG-13 for some thematic
PG-13?
elements. PG, sorry, for thematic elements and mild peril.
And it comes out, what, Thanksgiving weekend?
It does, this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah.
Then we have a House of
Father, Son,
Gucci.
and House of Gucci.
I think we all have agreed that
I'm just ready for the trailers to be done.
Exactly. The trailer has been bugging me every time we go to the movies, but it is about House Gucci is inspired by the shocking true story of the family behind the Italian fashion empire. When Patrizia Ranganini, an outsider from humble beginnings, marries into the Gucci family, her unbridled ambition begins to unravel the family legacy and triggers a reckless spiral of betrayal, decadence, revenge, and ultimately murder.
Dun, dun, dun.
Alrighty, the stars are Lady Gaga, Adam Driver, Jared Leto,
which means it should be really good.
It should. I think they spent all of their budget on getting big names because that's the only reason that people will go see this movie. The studio is United Artists. The director is Ridley Scott, who's also a pretty big deal. It is rated R for some sexual content, language, brief nudity, and violence.
So that's out.
I think it was out the first time we saw the trailer.
I don't think any one of us were interested in it, even without the rating.
The next one. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City. It is returning to the origins of the massively popular Resident Evil franchise. So my comment of it being a fan film has been right this whole time.
Oh, jeez.
Fan and filmmaker Johannes Roberts brings the games to life for a whole new generation of fans. In Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, once the booming home of the pharmaceutical giant Umbrella Corporation, Raccoon City is now a dying Midwestern town. The company's exodus left the city a wasteland with great evil brewing below the surface. When that evil is unleashed, a group of survivors must work together to uncover the truth behind Umbrella and make it through the night. Stars Cascodelario, Kaya, whatever it is.
Scodelario.
What? Yeah. Hannah, John Kamen, and Robbie Amell. The studio is Sony Pictures.
It's a big studio.
The director is Johannes Roberts, and it is rated R for strong violence and gore, language throughout.
So even if it sounded like an interesting story, we probably wouldn't see it.
Exactly.
With, I don't know. Strong. We see movies sometimes that are rated R for that kind of thing. But
the CG in the trailer is horrible.
That's why when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this looks like a fan film, and I was wondering if it was, and so. Yeah, it's a little worrying.
So if we go to a movie this weekend and it's new, it's Encanto.
Yes.
Probably.
Encanto.
Yes. And for trailers.
I gotta say that again. Hold on.
Okay.
Encanto.
Alrighty. You feeling better now?
You got that out of your system?
You did? Alrighty. For new trailers this week, we got a trailer for The Outfit, which I actually sent to y'all like 2 minutes after it came out, and I finished
I watched
watching
it with you.
It looks pretty good. It looks like it really could be an interesting movie.
It is an interesting premise, for sure.
Very interesting
Explain the premise.
Basically, at least from what I got from it.
Well, that's kind of what you're doing with the trailer.
Tailor. It has like Kingsman-esque vibes to it. There's a tailor who is kind of like a laundering system for this one group called The Outfit. They always bring in packages and everything, stick them in a mailbox, and that's all it is. He tailors criminals, but he also tailors normal people, and that's really all that goes on. One night, there's somebody that breaks in this group that are holding him hostage with this one package that's super important. And then cops are trying to beat down the walls, and a bunch of the gangs are trying to beat down the walls. And it's like all set in this one night in this one tailor shop.
Sounds interesting.
And everything. And it has the main guy from Maze Runner. I'm forgetting his name. Dylan O'Brien. That's it. Yes.
Really?
Him is one of the characters in it too. And for box office numbers, I think our predictions about one of these movies was correct. Ghostbusters Afterlife got 44 million, which is pretty strong for a Ghostbusters movie. Eternals has dropped down to 10.8 million.
It's actually higher than I expected.
Yeah,
really?
It is.
It is. And, well, Clifford still had 8 million.
I know. That's where it gets off.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Eternals did drop down more than I expected, honestly. I was expecting it to stay in the 15 to maybe 20, but...
Right. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nate.
You did a good job on your segment, too, Sam.
Thank you.
I forgot to
Appreciate it.
Sorry.
It's okay. I understand.
I'm thinking about 1,000 things right now. All right. Our minds were collectively blown when Ezra and the Purgles... That sounds like a 90s new wave band.
Ezra and the Purgles.
Ezra and the Purgles.
I'm going to start... We need to start a band. that does like modern songs in Star Wars-y feel.
Yeah.
And we'll call it Ezra and the Purgles.
I like
anyway, we were pretty excited when Ezra and the Purgles outsmarted the previously flawless Grand Admiral Thrawn in the series finale of Star Wars Rebels. But this move perfectly set up a way to get Thrawn out of the picture during the events of the original trilogy. And then you have this latest Thrawn novel by Timothy Zahn that suggests that everything that we thought was going on wasn't what it seems.
This isn't going to go the way you think.
Bulky religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side, kid.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
If you live long enough, you see the same eyes in different people.
So how many books have come out for Thrawn since I last read? I've read the one with Anakin. That's Alliances, right?
I think two.
So you've got Thrawn, you've got Thrawn Alliances, you got Thrawn Treason.
I don't have that one.
Then you have the Thrawn Ascendancy. So you have, I think it's Chaos Rising. There's a second one. I can't remember what the name of it is. And then the newer one coming out.
I'm 4 books behind.
You were so
and he's your favorite, like, you like reading his books.
I loved it. It was
Maybe
good.
over Christmas you can catch up a little bit. Read one. Anyway.
He already has another commitment.
I'm sorry.
What's that? So anyway, so here we go. The finale of Rebels was shocking for a lot of reasons, but one was that it appeared that Ezra Bridger had outsmarted
I don't like how you use the word appeared.
Grand Admiral Thrawn.
It was all his plan, which, was a thought for a while from me.
All right. Well, Nate, you're excited. You love this. I mean, you've been begging for the rest of the story to be told. Mm-hmm. What are you hoping to learn about Ezra and Thrawn's little road trip?
I'm just wanting to know more. I just want more Ezra. That's all. I want more of the story. I want more. We didn't get enough. Clone Wars got 7 seasons. Why couldn't Rebels get 7 seasons? But I really am excited to see how Thrawn deals with this. He's never been a bad guy fully. He's just really smart and has a feeling that it's logically sound to be with the Empire. And he's right. It is less of a risk to work for the Empire than it is for the Rebels. You're always taking risks with the Rebels. So it makes sense. And so I'm wondering how he's going to be able to go with this, and if he actually sees that, he was defeated. So the Empire has been defeated, and so maybe the Rebels were right. So maybe he will start to work with Ezra, which I would love to see Thrawn work with Ezra.
Yeah, it'd be quite the power team right there. I want to see Ezra's and Thrawn's conversation there, because they really haven't had much time to just kind of like sit there and talk. Like they're out in the middle.
They may have had 30 years.
That's what I'm saying. At this point, they've been out, in the middle of nowhere in space with nothing to do but talk to each other. They're obviously
10 years. Yeah,
10 years. Right. Well, they're not going to sit there and obviously try and kill each other. That's just not beneficial to everyone. So they're inevitably going to have some interesting conversations. And I really want to see what they got up to there.
Yeah, BB Nate, I do think that you're going to get more Star Wars Rebels. I just think that it's in Ahsoka. We've already saw, in the Mandalorian season 2, we have that moment at the end of Ahsoka, the Ahsoka episode where she's asking about where Thrawn is.
Which honestly, best moment for season 2 of the Mandalorian.
Even though Luke Skywalker shows up in the finale.
Oh yeah, the one line of "Where's Thrawn?" The throwaway line was better than that for me.
That's funny. And of course, we're getting the Ahsoka series, which they just announced this week, that they have cast a live action Sabine.
Yeah, that's big.
Going to be played by Natasha Liu Bordizzo, and I think that basically she's done a lot of stuff on Netflix. Stuff. They're good movies and stuff.
Yeah, but the smaller actors are such a Star Wars staple to like hire those kind of actors.
Yeah, I do. And here's the other thing. You were saying something, Sam, about them working together. How do the Chiss navigate through
Skywalkers? They use Force-sensitive children.
Well, now what do you have with Thrawn?
Ezra, like a powerful Jedi,
a Force-sensitive child.
Yeah.
So perhaps they're going to learn some things together. He's going to learn some things with Thrawn about that. What we thought about Thrawn's origin story in canon. We got his origin story, and you guys are both familiar with these books. So I know you've read
We've read the comics. The
'Cause
comics.
you did Thrawn Alliances, didn't you?
I listened to Thrawn Alliances with you, and I read the comics.
Okay, so you're familiar with this origin story in canon, according to what we saw. He was exiled from the Chiss Ascendancy for something that it's mysterious. We don't really know.
I thought it was preemptive attacks or something. They didn't like that.
Yeah, okay. So
anyway,
there was a reason there. But there were some hints that he sought out the Empire and had information that Palpatine valued. Sam, what do you think's really going on here?
Well, I thought I remembered reading somewhere that he joined the Empire to find a way to be able to protect the Chiss from an attack. I don't remember what the aliens were. There were some weird alien...
The Grisk, right?
The Grisk, yeah, that's it. He joined because he knew that they were going to attack the Chiss soon, and he needed a way to defend them, and the best way to do that was to join the Empire. At least that's what I remembered reading somewhere. It's been a long time since I read those books, so that's just what I remember.
It's been a long time since I've read the comics as well. I don't know. It kind of seems like you know what's going on, so you're not telling anything. So
I'm just kind of setting
you even
the
asking
table.
this. You even asking this question means that there's something else going on. So whatever I say won't matter.
I'm just leading the witness.
I honestly do think that Thrawn still has Force abilities. All the Chiss that, if they were Skywalkers, grew out of their Force abilities at a certain point in time. We never knew if Thrawn was a Skywalker or not, but he's obviously highly intelligent. He is confirmed. It's confirmed, right?
Yeah. Well, I started Chaos Rising. And I don't think that.
Okay. Well, I think it might be possible, but hey, I don't know anything because I haven't read the books.
Yeah. Let's jump over to Legends for a minute.
There we are.
The expanded universe. In the unknown, during the expanded universe, Heir to the Empire and stuff, we find out that during what we know as the events of the original trilogy, Thrawn is in the unknown regions. He's on a mission from the Emperor, and then he returns after Return of the Jedi when he finds out about what's happening to kind of restore the glory of the Empire. Now, this seems to be exactly what Dave Filoni was positioning Thrawn for with the events of the end of season of this finale of Rebels, because he's out in the unknown regions, just like what happens in the other. And then you have the events of The Mandalorian that hint that Thrawn might be actually the big villain lurking behind the scenes, like the question there about Thrawn. Nate, how do you feel about Thrawn transitioning into live action? And do you want him to be the villain of the period between the original trilogy and the sequels?
Well, I think that my answer will always be clear. Heck yes, I'm fine with him being the villain. That just means we get more Rebels. But really, I think that his transitioning into live action is going to be something very difficult, because they gave him such an iconic voice in Rebels, and it's going to be hard to either, they're just going to have to hire the actor who did the voice or find somebody similar. And you saw the fallout with Ashley Eckstein and the Ahsoka casting, and how that was just so controversial, even though the voice of Ahsoka is pretty generic. A lot of people can, mimic that, but Thrawn's is just so unique that I'm wondering how they're going to be able to do it.
I'm not sure why I can't remember the name of the actor that plays him in Rebels, and his brother plays Galen Erso. And I can't remember his name either.
Lars Mikkelsen or Mads Mikkelsen?
Mads. So it's Lars.
It's Lars.
Lars Mikkelsen. Thank you. I'm pretty much, from what I understand, he's been pretty much confirmed.
Okay, good.
Like, not officially announced, but confirmed that
he better be
the one that's coming back, which I think you have to do that.
His voice is just...
And he's a live action actor that plays characters like this, and he looks like him.
He does.
You could envision him being it,
like an older Thrawn.
Exactly. Yeah. So, Sam, what do you think about this? What do you think's going on here?
I want him to be the villain, but I don't know what that exactly implies with Ezra, because that means they either parted ways, or Ezra's been turned to the wrong side or something, or Ezra's dead. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure Ezra wouldn't be on Thrawn's side if Thrawn's a bad guy here. So I don't know what that implies, but I still kind of want him to be the bad guy.
Do you guys I know we've talked about this like probably a dozen times on this show. Do you think that the moment at the end of Rebels, the epilogue, with Sabine, Ahsoka going and getting Sabine. Do you think that happens after Endor or after the events of this episode in Mandalorian season 2?
After Endor.
After Mandalorian, I'd have to say it felt like they went on their own paths to find any information, and then Ahsoka finally got that information, so they're teaming up together to go track that down. They finally got a lead so that they can go, because it seemed like Sabine was like, this is goodbye for now to this planet, and so that's why I think it was leaving.
I'm kind of hoping that that's the case. All right. We have some new information about Thrawn we need to look at. Thrawn's the latest novel by Timothy Zahn, Thrawn Ascendancy, Lesser Evil, dropped a pretty major bombshell. In reality, it seems that his exile was staged by the Chiss military leadership precisely for the purpose of getting him into the Empire.
Okay, that doesn't surprise me too much.
And Thrawn's mission was to investigate the newborn Empire, assessing them as a potential ally against the myriad threats of the unknown regions, and then send those allies back to the Chiss. So according to this novel, he was never loyal to the Empire at all. Instead, he only viewed them as a tool to be used to protect the Chiss. And in fact, he always wanted to return to the unknown regions. And that was a little blurb that I took from ScreenRant.com. If it sounds familiar to anybody that's listening to this right now, I cheated. All right. Sam, do you think Thrawn might have foreseen what was happening in the Rebels finale? The whole Pearls thing and what was getting ready to go down with Ezra, and let himself and Ezra get taken back into the unknown regions intentionally?
You know, I'd like to think that he already had that plan ahead, because I just like to think that Thrawn knows everything that's going on about, 20 steps ahead of everyone else, even when it seems like it's coming out of the blue, like the Purgles. I like to think that he saw that coming, but part of me thinks he didn't, and he's just going to roll with it.
Okay.
He sees this as an opportunity, an opening, and he's going to, take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting concept that the Chiss planted him there, and it would work.
Which I feel like I knew that somehow.
Yeah, I remember that.
I feel like it was in something. Yeah.
I feel like it was mentioned at some point. I agree.
Yeah.
But I really do think that, and in some cases it works, how calm he was, even if the Empire was defeated, because it doesn't really matter to him. It just shows that, okay, maybe these won't be good allies. He's learning more even if they lose. And so, yeah, that's why it would make sense and it would fit. I really do think it would.
I think there's another possibility. I think it's more likely, in my opinion, and that is that Thrawn actually really was outsmarted by Ezra, and then was lost in the unknown regions with him. And now we're like a decade later, like I said earlier, at the time of the Mandalorian. He's back on the scene now, and it seems like he is potentially leading remnants of the Empire. Nate, where do you think Thrawn's loyalty lies in the Mandalorian era?
I'm not sure. It's definitely a complicated situation with where he will lie, because the books are explaining a lot and they're releasing these in the time period so close to Ahsoka that they cannot be ignored. And so in a way, this book, while it does give us more information, can all be explained really easily within a show, because there are characters that don't know about this already. And so it would work very well. Yeah. I want to think that Ezra outsmarted Thrawn, because Ezra's really cool, and I think that would be great. That'd be a great way to end his character arc in Rebels. But I think it's very possible that Thrawn was always planning on this. So
I just want to say, I love how much you love Ezra Bridger. I think that is so cool. Whenever you talk about him, you just light up. That's so much fun.
Yeah, I think the leading of the remnants of the Empire, yes, he is leading remnants of the Empire, not for the Empire's sake. I think it's for the Chiss's sake. He needs their force. They're just guns and men at this point for him. He doesn't care what their alliance is. Once the Empire was fractured, it was even easier to take them over and command them. I think that's what he's doing. I don't think he really cares about the newly formed Republic or anything like that.
Well, let's be honest. As much as I may want to, I'm probably not going to take the time to read all of the Thrawn Ascendancy books, because
Me neither.
I haven't got it right now. But I'm pretty sure, like you said, BB Nate, we're going to still get that story in live action soon. I think the Ahsoka show is going to tell us a lot more about Thrawn, so that'll be fun. All right. Anything else you guys want to say?
Anything else?
Scarlett Johansson is returning to the MCU to produce a non-Black Widow product. Is this we got this covered?
Project. No, this is true.
What is she doing?
They have it. It was an.
I think it's something with. It has to be something with Yelena. That just would.
You think she's like producing or directing?
Producing.
No, she's doing another one of the films.
Yeah, she's producing something with Yelena. I think that's
Very
what
cool.
could be important. But No Time to Die passes F9 to become the highest grossing film of the pandemic era, and that's just because of my one ticket buy.
Oh yeah, you were the one who said
I was the only one.
Were you the only one in the theater when you
No,
went?
there was actually a lot of other people there, and I definitely brought the average age of that auditorium down by like 20 years. There was a lot of older people in that theater.
This one also kind of makes you wonder if it's a We Got This Covered or an Inside the Magic, but it's not. It was by Empire Magazine, I believe.
Okay.
So it's a legitimate source. Kathleen Kennedy is suggesting that Star Wars sequel trilogy characters could return soon.
What?
Yeah, like they're in talk. These characters are coming back.
Interesting.
It was all over social media today. We'll be curious to see how that plays itself out. Friday, if you liked this show, then great. We love that. Why don't you tune in Friday? Exactly. We've got Lucas Pinkard from The Revenant and the Reprobate, one of the coolest dudes out there. You're going to be on their show in a couple of weeks or so.
The 24th, I think.
That's this week, dude.
Yeah.
What are y'all discussing?
We're discussing the Batman and then other DC.
So you're going to be on his show Wednesday.
Yes.
And then he's going to be on our show Friday.
Yeah.
And we didn't even plan it like that. All right. That's pretty cool. Check him out. We're going to be talking about the Eternals and how worldview, the way you look at the world, actually determines whether or not you enjoyed this movie.
Interesting.
With it. And again, a big shout out to our sponsors, cufflinks.com. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring the show. We certainly do appreciate that. All right. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in and downloading and sharing and all that stuff for Tatooine Sons of Pop Culture Podcast.
Yeah, if you had a good time listening, it'd be awesome if you could share this with your friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the show, it's only a small part of the Tatooine Sons world. I mean, it's our main export, but be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter to get in on even more of the action if you want it. Join the discussion group on Facebook, Tatooine Sons discussion group, and keep up to date on everything we got going on at TatooineSons.com.
Yeah. And don't forget to follow the show on your favorite podcast app. Please download every episode so that you don't miss it. And remember that if you drop us a review at podchaser.com, if you notice we haven't really read reviews lately.
Yeah. What's up with that?
That's because none of you guys are giving them to us. So we either suck or
which isn't outside of the realm of possibility.
It isn't. I mean, it's a completely reasonable idea. Or you can go to podchaser.com/Tatooine Sons and give us a review. Or you can do it on Apple or one of the other ones too. We're cool with that. If you do that, we'll make a donation in your honor to one child to help a child living in extreme poverty. All right. Anything else you guys want to say?
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
May the force be with you always.
This party's over.
I like that Wookiee.
Don't get technical with me.
Join, please.